Welcome back to the channel. As you can see, we're back with the YJ, and today we're going to take off the rear track bar. So why take off the rear track bar? The YJ was the first model Wrangler that had the track bar in the rear, and the reason why was because some of the CJs were having issues with rolling over, and so they decided in order to make them safer, they would put a track bar on the rear of the car. What I've noticed is that ever since I put the 2.5-inch lift kit on this, the lateral alignment of the rear axle is a little bit off. It sits a little bit to the right, and I think the reason for that is because the track bar doesn't have an extension on it, and it's not adjustable. So I think now it's pulling the axle to the other side. From the frame, about 14.5. If we come over here on the other side, go from the frame, there's the frame, and it's more like 14. So even though it's not too dramatic, just being a ½ inch off, it still makes a difference. You can tell when you look at the back of the car, at least I can because I'm picky. My hope is that by removing the track bar, it's gonna make it a better ride, and also it's gonna align the rear axle. I've read a lot of the forums, and most of them say that you don't need the rear track bar, and that once you remove it, it makes it a lot better ride. So let's get under the car. I'm gonna tell you what you need, and let's get this rear track bar off. First of all, we're gonna loosen up the shackles on the rear leaf springs. The reason why we're gonna do this is because I have a feeling that whenever I unbolt that track bar, it's gonna wanna snap out of position. So by loosening up those shackles, it'll give that axle a little bit of leeway left and right. So hopefully the track bar won't abruptly pop out of the bracket. And then after we loosen up the shackles, we're gonna unbolt the track bar. And once we take the track bar out, then we're gonna tighten the shackles back up and then torque them to spec. So here's everything you need. So first off, to get the shackles off right here, we're gonna need 2 3/8 sockets or a 3/8 socket and a wrench, whatever you have access to. And then that'll loosen up both of our shackles, and then it's onto our track bar. So to get the track bar off, you're gonna need a T55 torque socket, and then also you're gonna need a 13/16 socket, long neck, and that's gonna help you get the nut off the back. If you don't have that, you can also use a wrench. We're also gonna need a torque wrench when we tighten everything back down. And then if you have access to an impact, this might make life easier. Either an impact or a breaker bar. So as you can see, we're gonna go with a breaker bar on this one. There we go. Now keep in mind, I just put this lift kit on not long ago, so that's why it's so easy for me to get these nuts off. So I'm gonna loosen up the other side, and then we'll catch back up when we get to the track bar. All right, we got the shackles nice and loosened up now onto the track bar. Look under here, you can see here's the 13/16 nut right here. On the other side, it's gonna be a T55 Torx. So first what I'm gonna try to do is just hit this with the impact and see if I can break this nut loose. If not, what I'm gonna have to do is approach it from both sides so I can get more torque. Looks like we're gonna have to hit it with some torque. So, we got the nuts off of both ends of the track bar with creative tools. So I used everything I showed you earlier, just with extensions. After some persuading, you can see, got the bolt out up there from the top of the track bar. Now we have this track bar bolt over here and need to knock that out. The only thing is the shock behind it might be in the way, but we'll see what we can do. Unfortunately, the shock on the driver's side is in the way, so I can't get the bolt all the way out from the track bar. I'm gonna jack up the Jeep, undo the bottom of the shock, let it swing out a little bit so I can pull out that bolt, and then that track bar should come right out. As you can see, I jacked up the Jeep, took the shock out right there, which I need to re-torque to 45 foot-pounds, and dropped the Jeep back down, but the track bar is completely unbolted, so now I just need to basically negotiate that thing out of there. There it is, the track bar. So after a lot of wiggling back and forth, I was able to get this track bar out finally. So now I just need to tighten the shackles down to 95 foot-pounds and then take it for a test drive. There we go, I laid down on it right at about 14.25, and this is on the driver's side. Now, let's go over here to the passenger side. I haven't touched the frame. There we go. Straight down on it, 14.25. So that means we got this thing aligned. So first thing we did was we loosened up the shackles so we take out some of the tension on that track bar. Then we unbolted the track bar, And again, on the driver's side, the shock got in the way. So we had to lift up the Jeep a little bit, unbolt the bottom of the shock so that we could get the bolt out from the track bar. And then after that, it was just a matter of knocking the track bar out of its grooves. Once the track bar was out, we just had to put everything back together. So the bottom of the shock gets torqued to 45 foot-pounds. The shackles get torqued to 95 foot-pounds. And then while we were under there, we went ahead and checked the nuts on the bottom of the U-bolts for 65 foot-pounds. After everything was torqued down, took it for a ride. It actually does make a difference, you can tell. It drives smoother. You can tell when you go over little bumps, when you make turns. There's a little bit more flexibility in the back end. It's not as rigid. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. Thanks again for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.